Hello again. Let's get into The Instant Farmer, chapter number 25. Inside the lobby of his building, Ken has run into Peter again. Peter is coming home after walking his dog. Peter took his dog to the park, and they played nicely. Peter is the exact person that Ken wanted to talk to. He remembers that great advice that Peter gave to him. Peter says, "Well, hello there, young man." Ken says, "Yes, hello to you." Peter says, "My dog made a new friend today at the park." Ken says, "That sounds great. Listen, I have been thinking about your advice, and I really appreciate your wisdom. I am in the unit 10 on the 14th floor. What unit are you in?" Peter says, "I have the lower penthouse suite. It is unit 2. We could chat some more about life whenever I am not walking my dog." Ken says, "Thank you for helping me get through a tough decision." Peter says, "I have a ton of advice. Not all of it can help everybody all the time. I would like to chat more, but my dog needs a nap." Ken says, "Okay, tonight I have plans, but maybe we can chat while your dog takes a nap? I have such a great story that I want to share." Peter says, "Yes, come over for a coffee. I will put the pot on as soon as I get upstairs." Ken says, "That sounds great. See you in a few minutes." They enter the elevator together. Peter pushes the button for Ken's floor, as well as for his own floor. The ride up was quiet. As the door opened for the 14th floor, the two of them shared a smile and a friendly nod of the head. Ken has officially experienced the greatest Monday of all time. He is looking past his visit with Peter. He wants to see his girlfriend now. Ken enters his apartment and walks directly to his fridge. He wants some carrot juice before meeting Peter. That carrot juice gave Ken some energy for his upcoming meeting. He does want to change his clothes before going upstairs. That sounds like a good idea. He decides on what to wear very quickly. He has chosen a sporty look. He is wearing athletic pants and a plain t-shirt. He wants to give a very relaxed feel for his meeting. Ken leaves his apartment and goes in the elevator to the lower penthouse. On his way up, Ken is imagining how impressive Peter's apartment must be. He will find out soon. The elevator stops on the correct floor. Ken exits and starts to walk down the hallway. Unit number 2 is very easy to find. Ken knocks on the door. Peter says, "The coffee is almost ready. How do you take your coffee?" Ken says, "Peter, your apartment is amazing. I would love for you to show me around." Peter says, "Yes, of course. I don't usually get company." Ken says, "This apartment is much larger than mine." Peter says, "Feel free to look around. I must attend to the coffee pot." Ken starts to walk around Peter's apartment. He finds the bathroom and the master bedroom. He is starting to feel weird about taking an unescorted tour. He makes his way to the balcony. This balcony is huge. Ken is very impressed. Peter knocks on the window from the inside. That gets Ken's attention. Peter waves him in because the coffee is ready. Ken finds his way to the dinner table. Peter says, I still don't know how you take your coffee. Ken says, cream and sugar, please. Peter says, sure. Ken says, I love your apartment. It is so amazing. Peter says, thank you, young man. This is where I retire. I have not worked for a very long time. Ken says, this coffee is great. What company makes it? Peter says, it is pretty good. I find this special blend from the grocery store. I only drink this one now. Ken says, thanks for having me visit today. The time when you gave me some great advice really stuck with me. I appreciate your wisdom. Peter says, wisdom is a strange word, but I have to say it is the right word for me. So, did you make a decision about what was bothering you? What was bothering you? I don't recall. Ken says, that's okay. I don't recall either. But I have made the right decision. Thank you for counseling. Peter says, yes, I remember. You need to hurry in your chosen direction. I'm glad to help. Ken says, I have the most amazing girlfriend. I know her well despite the short time of knowing her. I can see a future with this woman. Peter smiles at Ken. They do not say another word to each other for a whole 8 minutes. They sit quietly and sip on the coffee in front of them. Ken is checking out the apartment. He is very intrigued about the value of it. But that is one of the questions that should never be asked. Peter says, are you going to see your girlfriend later tonight? I understand that she is spectacular. Ken says, I am in love with your apartment. I would love to get a guided tour. Yes, I am going to see her tonight. Peter says, I am not much of a tour guide. Feel free to look around. Ken says, this apartment is much larger than mine. What is the value? Peter says, I bought it 12 years ago for $400,000. I would imagine that it has increased in value since then. Ken says, yes, it has. I bought mine 4 years ago for $670,000, and yours is much more special. Peter says, talking about money reminds me of being a lawyer. I like you. Ken says, how long do you need to go to school to become a lawyer? I would imagine for a long time. Peter says, by today's standards, it is not comparable to when I was in school. It takes the same type of desire. Ken says, I went to school to become a project manager. I would guess a lawyer must require much more in-class hours than a project manager. Peter says, don't sell yourself short, my friend. There are many jobs inside the law firm. Sure, the lawyer gets all the glory. Ken says, all the glory? I like the way that sounds. I am an architectural firm. We are working on a blueprint for a huge building. Peter says, maybe if you buy a unit in the pre-construction phase, you will get a fantastic deal. Ken says, yeah, you were right. I need to continue in my chosen direction. I need to go home. Thanks for the coffee. I will look forward to our next meeting. Peter says, bye for now. That concludes this chapter. I hope you enjoyed listening. Again, if you want to read along with me, then you should pick up a copy of my ebook from Kindle. Goodbye until the next chapter.